Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Bryce Amir Hardy, DOC number 432-675, going live from the penitentiary. Walla Walla, we're in the building. And today is episode 1 of the Black Experience podcast. So we're going to be going over what we're doing in this class. And the first week is ancient civilization. A lot of people are not in touch with themselves. Black Americans today, for the youth, I salute you. To the older generation, I salute you. To my generation, I salute you. Today is a fine day in America to be a black man. Today is a fine day in America to be a black woman. And I'm going to tell you why. We came from a culture and a civilization that was erased and it's taken from us. We were taken from our motherland, places like ancient Egypt, the kingdom of Kush. Those type of things are stuff that's not taught in public education schools. You know, to think about it, I had to come to prison to be able to understand who I am. And that's a crazy story. That's why I'm here telling you guys now today about who you are, so you don't have to come into prison to understand who you are. I'm giving you the game. The game is to be told, not to be sold. What is culture? Culture is a concept that is important in our study. The definition of culture is totality of socially transmitted behavior, patterns, arts, beliefs, institutions, and other products of human work and thought. The purpose of culture is a people's window on whatever they perceive as reality, to understand the world around them and the concept of self. So everyone has their own culture that they fit into. You know, we grew up in a kind of ghetto community after what had took place in our reality that we call life. Growing up in Alaska, you know, being able to understand the difference between having food in the fridge and not having food in the fridge, that's one of the struggles that a lot of people go through. You know, having a single parent household, that's part of the culture. Mom working all day, you know, we got to get on that bus early in the morning, and there's 5 kids. We all running to school, running to that early bus. If one of us miss it, we all miss it. That's the type of culture we're talking about. People in the lower economic class of citizenship in America, they share the same culture. And as black Americans today, we still share the same culture. Culture is a conditioning process necessary for early development of a human being. So a lot of the things that we see as children, we take from our parents, from our family, from our uncles, from our friends and stuff like that. Just adopting it, it kind of ingrains into ourselves, into our psyche, and we kind of go on this predetermined destination point of who we are and who we believe to be. Culture defines the agenda of a society: government, economics, religion. Religion is one of the most powerful influencing forces of culture. As we all know, you know, Christianity is a widely spread religion amongst the whole world, but it's just one of the few religions. Islam, Buddhist, there's different ones, but it drives culture because the shift in people's paradigms comes upon humanity at so detrimental points in history where revolutionary stages are taking place and people want a different type of cultural expression. Now, you guys can do this group activity. This can be taught at school. This can be taught in your living room. Wherever you're at, you can do this group activity. You know, you put 4 people together. You kind of have a group, and one group is Egypt, one group is Rome, one group is Greece, one group is Persia. And for that being said, you go into Egypt controls pens. Pens are used to write on paper. Egypt must write on paper. Rome controls pencils. Pencils are used to conquer people with written paper. Rome must conquer people with written paper. Greece controls paper. Paper needs pen for writing, and Greece must sell written paper. Persia controls the money, basically candy in this essence. Candy is used to buy paper with writing, and Persia must buy written paper. So this group activity will take 20 to 15 minutes, and it's just to get people stimulated. We want the children, the youth to understand, these different types of groups, what they're being able to do, and the goal that Rome has to partake in is by conquering the countries that create literature. Because as we know in history, Rome kind of took over a lot of places because of their military might. They were able to take a lot of knowledge, a lot of resources from people. They controlled places through force. That leads us to our next topic, civilization. Civilization is an advanced state of intellectual, cultural, and material development in human society, marked by progress in the arts and sciences, the extensive use of writing, and appearance of complex political and social institutions. Civilization is what we have today in the United States of America, and to people that are watching out there in third world countries, that's still civilization. The people who are out there and don't have so much of a structured government as the United States has, that's still a form of civilization. Now, just because your civilization may not be so structured does not mean that it's not civil. What causes the rise and fall of civilizations? Well, modern civilizations fall because they lack the ability to love. I'm not trying to go philosophical on you guys, but love is very powerful when it comes to societies, because under these conditions, people develop the capacity to hurt each other, to achieve their own material gains, perpetuate a cycle of vice, violence, mistrust, and hatred, leading to war, disease, poverty, and suffering. The problem with the inability to love and care in a society develops when it is not managed or ceases to be managed by leaders with the capacity to care for others and be compassionate. A good example of an idol of Africa who embodies black culture, back before we came over to America. Remember, this is week one, ancient civilization. This man was phenomenal. This man did a lot of things. He actually went against Rome and was successful. His name is Hannibal Barca. If you guys are not familiar with Hannibal Barca, he utilized war elephants against Rome. Who's going to use war elephants against Rome? Hannibal did. So when people talk about Hannibal Lecter, be like, well, I know a brother named Hannibal Barca, and he did better things. Instead of going around killing people for no reason, Hannibal Barca stood for justice in a time when his people were oppressed. He was a military strategist, and he was born in 247 BCE. At the age of 9 years old, his father gave him an important purpose in life: declare Rome as his mortal enemy. At the age of 25, Hannibal was elected to be general of the Carthage Empire's army. He is known also for starting the Second Punic War in 218 BCE. Hannibal did not use force to win battles. He actually used a lot of diplomacy. In this instance, he was riding through this village on his way to Rome on his war path. While traveling, Rome decided to besiege the city he was in. Now, this city had a couple of walls, but it had one entrance. So Hannibal could not escape. What he decided to do was to create the funneling tactic. Oh, you guys seen the movie 300 with the Spartans and how they were all inside of this little ravine, and the Persians had to go through and get to them, but they could only do it one at a time because it was so skinny. Hannibal was actually way before that, and actually came up with that military strategy of funneling. He put his archers on top of buildings. He had his strongest forces in the front as a spearhead while the Roman troops were traveling through the city, which was one main road through the gates. By